No, dude, they're not pantyhose. They're Under Armour. They're like, don't worry about it. They're not pantyhose, though. Hey, Steve Giammona here from The Steve Giammona Show. In this episode, I talked to CM Strange. Don't let the name fool you. He's a super cool dude. He's a local drummer here from Sacramento. He teaches drums. We go way off the deep end into drum talk. We talk about drummers, vintage drums, art, playing live music, how he got started in drums. It's a great talk, especially if you love drums. Drums. Drums.
Welcome to Steve Giammona Show.
Yeah, so you're the first dude that I've had on that I don't personally know.
I mean, it's an honor.
Yeah,
I'm happy
thank
to
you. I
be
appreciate
here.
you taking the time. But yeah, it was cool meeting up with you Friday just to kind of get to know you a little bit and pick your brain.
Totally.
That's what I have, a Mapex kit.
The red one, right?
Yeah, it's red.
You don't have cowhide? Why don't you have cowhide?
I actually do have a leopard print.
Do you?
Yeah, it's a Yamaha. I don't know what series, but I bought it off my old roommate who owned a drum store in Berkeley.
Nice.
And then when it went belly up, he sold it to me. He sold it to me. It was like $300. It sounds great though, because it has the wrap on it.
Mhm.
It's got the like legit like fuzzy fur on it, so it's cool. But yeah, so I mean, maybe a little bit about you. So you're CM Strange,
Yeah.
or Corey.
Either's fine.
CM Strange. is-
You brought that up the other day, and I started thinking about it, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should start updating everything so it matches. And I went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my name's Corey. My middle name's Morgan, so CM, and then last name is Strange.
Yeah.
So I just do CM Strange because it was shorter, and people tend to have a hard time typing out an entire thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's essentially where how I can be found. cmstrange.com, or Instagram is @cmstrange.
Yeah, and like we kind of talked, I don't even know how you came about on my Instagram. I think it was like I mentioned through the Mike's lesson thing. But yeah, through there, I just kind of started following you and just watching the videos. And since we last met on Friday, I went down a Steve Gadd rabbit hole last night. And yeah, and then that Steve Gadd rabbit hole spiraled off into a Steve Jordan
Oh yeah,
rabbit hole.
those are fun.
Dude, it was amazing. It was the Vic Firth one of him, and he has like the Yamaha, the orange, the white kit, where it's just for like 8 minutes, he's just playing hi-hat and he's just laying it down. So
Have you seen Steve Jordan's video? Oh God, what was that thing called though? Nope, didn't come prepared.
right. Neither did I.
It's like a home video. It was like an hour and a half long, but it's just him playing grooves essentially, and he sort of introduces them. So
Yeah, does he have like a big baggy sweatshirt on?
probably during part of it, it kind of changes throughout the whole thing,
Mhm.
and it's just such a great video. I wish I knew it too, and I just can't think of it.
Yeah, I think
Oh, well.
there was one that was like 3 fat bottom grooves or something like that, and I watched that one.
Yeah,
And then yeah, but Steve Gadd, man, it was nuts.
it's creative on a way that I didn't ever consider,
Mhm.
which surprises me. I mean, I guess there's a ton of things I haven't considered. So to say that kind of seems weird, but he's so creative. When you try to play it too, it feels really unnatural.
Mhm.
And then once you get it, you go, oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah, like we talked about 50 ways to leave your lover.
Oh, yeah.
It does not make any sense whatsoever.
It's so weird because you throw an additional hi-hat in between your left hand. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But when you get it, you're like, oh,
Mhm.
this is really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine most of his stuff's kind of like that.
Yeah, the one that I watched was it was from the 80s, but it was like a wild, like almost like rock drum solo that he was doing. It was not what I expected, but
Yeah.
we actually saw Paul Simon, my wife and I went and saw him last year in
Wow.
Oakland.
He's probably still amazing.
It was just one of the most boring shows I've ever seen.
Really?
It was so boring because first of all, he played for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
His band was crazy. It was just like a bunch of it was like a 25 person band. Each person served a purpose,
Mhm.
obviously, but it was just like, fuck, every other song sounds the same. And I don't think we didn't stay for the whole thing just because it was so late.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God.
Like
Like,
kids and stuff.
well, we stayed the night in Oakland.
Okay.
But it was just like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, I like Paul Simon. You can't deny him. He's amazing.
He's amazing.
But then you're just like, all right, like they all sound the same.
Right.
Like, it was weird. Okay. And then I think I was probably expecting Steve Gadd or someone to be on drums, but the drummer he had was super rad.
You'd have to be to cover the parts at least.
Yeah.
I wonder who it was.
I don't know. It was some I want to say it was like a school, like a I don't know, what do you call it? Like not a troupe, but like a I remember he said it and I looked him up. It's like some Manhattan music group.
Okay.
Something like that. So yeah, it was pretty disappointing. Especially when you're like, wait. And then like the next day I Googled it and I was like, he didn't even play Mrs. Robinson?
Right.
Or like Cecilia? Like it was all just.
Was that all with Garfunkel stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
which he was mixing in.
Was he?
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't imagine that because he's done so much on his own. And his stuff on his own is so what's the word I want? Complicated. Like it's really complicated music. Yeah. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. The guitar part is probably as hard as the drums.
Jeez.
And it's not difficult like pattern wise. The chords are really sophisticated. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I've only ever listened to the lyrics and the drums on that song. I've never listened to anything, which is kind of my problem when I listen to music.
Right. I have the same issue.
Yeah.
I luckily learned other instruments so I can sort of like tune into other stuff, but I always come back to the drums.
What else do you play?
Nothing well.
Okay.
But I started with guitar. I learned bass a little bit, little piano. I can sing, all that kind of stuff. But drums make the most sense.
Yeah.
And I have the most fun. And it's like, it's just where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's what I do.
Yeah. So you didn't originally grow up here in Sacramento?
No, I grew up in the desert in Southern California in Yucca Valley. So kind of by Joshua Tree out that way. And then when I was 13, I got moved to Orange County, and then I spent more than a decade there. And then I just got to this part where I just wasn't happy. I couldn't figure out life and quarter life crisis kind of stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm out of here. And I moved up north, and I've been kind of in this area ever since.
Okay.
So
how long you guys been in Sac?
Probably like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Where we currently live. And then my wife lived in Auburn her whole life. So she's very familiar with everything around here. She still works in Auburn, so she drives there twice a week.
Yeah, like we kind of talked on Friday, as far as like the music scene in Sacramento, it's healthy, obviously.
There's a lot happening. I don't know how much it's what everybody's to-do list is, if that makes sense. There's something you can go do every night, but whether or not you actually go do it is the question.
Yeah, and like being in a band, finding those places to play, you know, obviously we have the big venues that bands come through, Ace of Spades and Golden One, if you want to get that crazy.
Yeah.
But like there's all the little places too, like I guess the Colonial Cafe.
I haven't heard of that.
It's by the Colonial Theater. It's on Stockton.
Okay.
Way down there. I guess it's just this little room, but they have all kinds of bands, and
that's awesome.
TSOL played there last week.
Gosh.
So they get, I saw TSOL at Gilman Street years ago.
I had one of their albums on vinyl way back in the day. And it was the one with Code Blue.
Yeah.
And it's like the best thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know what happened to it, but I had it.
They refused to play it.
Really?
Yeah, because that's all anybody wanted to hear was Code Blue.
Oh, that one thing that your band is remembered for, you refused to do. It makes total sense.
Yeah. Well, that album, True Sounds of Liberty is the band's name, but I can't remember what album it is, but I think it has like majority of their hits on it.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you guys want to hear Code Blue?" Yeah, we're not going to play it. And you're like, "Oh no, this is going to be a riot." And like, it was Gilman, like it was a hardcore.
Yeah.
It was a punk scene. And it was crazy because AFI played a surprise show there that night.
That is surprising. Like recently?
No, this was 99.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
They would. I mean, they were from Berkeley. They all went to school and this is going to stop. Yeah, AFI, they were so rad originally. Like Black Sails in the Sunset era, I would love AFI. And then I kind of went with them for years and years, and I sort of fell off when I got too old.
Yeah, I never got into them. They just weren't really my thing. So yeah, no, everyone's different. Because everyone always shits on me. They're like, "Oh, Green Day." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it.
Do you like all of it?
I don't like
It's like the American Idiot stuff.
Okay.
I didn't really. I mean, I appreciate that album. I get it.
Do you like the musical?
I never saw the musical.
I'm just kind of poking fun.
No, yeah. I mean, like, I get it. Like, I like them. So what? Who cares?
Hey, I used to have Kerplunk on cassette, and I think I wore it out to the point where it wouldn't play anymore.
Yeah, I don't listen to, like, I don't really necessarily go out of my way to listen to them, but like, they're kind of always on and around somewhere, like on shuffle.
I think I found them. I found Operation Ivy through them because they were covering their stuff. Way back in the day. Yeah,
that's an album that I've worn out. I just recently got that on vinyl.
Which one?
The Operation Ivy.
Oh yeah,
it's a great one. So, all right. So you moved around a lot. Kind of came up here. So how did you transition into playing drums? Was it just kind of they were there?
No, I tried to join the 7th grade band. I had an electric guitar and I had taken lessons all summer. And I was like, I'm ready to do this. I couldn't read music or any of that. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I get there and the guy goes, oh, we don't have, this is a symphonic band. We don't have guitar. Like we can do nothing with it. Maybe we'll find something you can do throughout the year with it, but like you can't do this every day. The guy was like, oh, well, what can I do? He goes, well, all we have room left for is a drummer. I'm like, all right. And he goes, come with me. He takes me back and he's this awesome guy. I really think highly of him for the rest of my life. And he kind of would do something and I could just do it. And he goes, all right, you'll be fine. You'll be our drummer.
Okay.
And I was like, all right. I told my mom that night. I remember she got so mad. She's like, we're not having drums in this house. I'll have a headache every day. And then it ended up being like, I got like a drum set, turned into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did that for a long time. I was in a band until I was about 18. And then I kind of put it down for a long time. I learned Pro Tools and all this other stuff that I thought was more important, but it was just kind of where my interest was. And then I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, I picked drums up pretty seriously and started really learning it. And the journey is continuing and probably will forever.
Yeah. It's like we talked about. It's like, I kind of went to the same thing where I didn't play for a long time. And you almost kind of be like, I don't want to call myself a drummer anymore. You know, like it's not that anymore. But then, yeah, it's not something like I'll ever sell my drums. I'll always have them. They'll always be accessible.
Yeah.
You know, I was playing yesterday on my lunch break. I went home.
Nice.
And I'm trying to figure out a theme song for this fucking show.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll just like kind of play around on them and recorded it and it sounded terrible. But yeah, no, there's something that's always gonna be there.
Yeah.
That's what, like, I don't know, you talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I used to play guitar. I'm like, well, it's a guitar. You can just have one in the corner. It's not, you don't need to get rid of it.
And it's like, I kind of know guitar seems more accurate.
Yeah.
You may not do it all the time, but you can probably still do it. Like, what do you practice when you practice the drums? Or do you just have like a routine you kind of run through?
I'll just kind of play whatever's in my head.
Okay.
If I want to get crazy, I'll play along to something.
Okay.
Just put on some headphones. But I feel like the headphone thing doesn't really work anymore, you know, unless you've got like really good ones.
It just depends how you're set up in your room and stuff is. I think it's better to play quietly to like something coming out of a speaker because it requires you to actually mix into the music.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, if you don't have that option and you have mics and you can hear your drums through your headphones are great.
Yeah. I always, like, growing up, watching all the drum videos and stuff like that, and everybody was like, oh, I played along to records. I'm like, how do you do that? But then, yeah, playing quietly.
I never tried to play along to a record, like a quote unquote.
Yeah, a vinyl record.
I think it would be very hard, but it'd be kind of fun for stuff you couldn't figure out to slow it down.
Yeah.
And then kind of, you know.
Yeah, on the, that's funny because on that Burning for Buddy thing I was telling you about, Kenny Aronoff talks about that because they're listening to, like, they're talking about Buddy Rich and they're recording all these songs. And he's like, yeah, I used to slow down the drum part. It was either him or Neil Peart. He's like, he used to slow the record down so I could figure out his drum parts, that's probably kind of a lost art now.
There's apps that do it.
Oh, there is.
Hey, everybody. If you liked what you just heard and you'd like to hear more than just a 14-minute long clip, like and subscribe to Steve Giammona Show. It can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate it. Okay. Does that work?